I have been joined by my guests, and it's time for the health segment. As usual, we have our doctor in studio, Dr. Kelvin Owusu, who is the medical director of Optimal Care Diagnostics. And we also have been joined, as you know, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we've been joined by a survivor of breast cancer. And she's the person, Juliette Mills-Lutterodt. And we're going to be talking to her and listen to her story about all that has happened since the incident. All right, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Good morning.
Yes, Doctor.
Hi.
So we've now brought a live
a survivor.
A survivor.
Yes.
For you to help us with the medical understanding behind this. But I want to talk to Juliette first.
Sure.
How long ago was
For
this?
me, my journey has been 12 years of survivor. Yes.
Wow. 12 years since you first heard the news, or 12 years since you got cleared?
I got cleared 2 years after my journey.
Okay.
The final testings were done, and I was cleared 2 years after my journey. But my journey started 12
years ago.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so I'm always curious. Where were you when you first heard the news?
You know, you hear the news in the doctor's office because it's not news, they want to give it to you over the phone.
So what was that first feeling? Did you know when they called you to come into the office?
I had an inclination. I wasn't well. I had the flu. I was a bit under the weather. So I got a call that I should come and that my results had come in. And driving there, I don't think I remember much of that. But I remember going in and him saying, "You came alone?" And I said, "Yes."
Wow.
So then that kind of made me feel that it wasn't going to be the best news.
Yeah.
So I think for every human being, once you're told, majority of us hear cancer and we see death. So it's only natural. I had 3 small children at the time, and I have 3 sons. And 12 years ago, my youngest is 19 now.
Okay.
So 12 years back, he was younger.
Yeah.
So your whole life basically flashes in front of you. And I think the initial shock is, okay, there's a possibility I could die.
Wow.
But, you know, I think that as human beings too, we live in a world where there's a possibility you can die every day.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I think that's a very positive way to look at it, you know, to spin it and say, death, you want me? Well, there's all of us here, so I'm not alone, you know. Tell us, what was the most challenging bit of this entire journey for you?
I think two different things.
Okay.
The first one was breaking the news to my family, especially to my children, and getting them to understand the importance of me being strong and fighting it and needing their help emotionally to continue to fight.
Okay.
They were children. And I don't come from a family where we hide anything.
Wow.
So everything is in the open. And it's really fantastic when you live a transparent life.
Yeah.
It's important. Sometimes we think we're protecting our children, but we are actually hurting them because children are very smart and they see what your body changes and everything.
Yeah.
The second one was going through chemo. That was the hardest fight I had to do. You know, there were nights when I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would sit in my living room by myself and I'll pull up a chair and ask God to sit with me because we needed to talk. So I think that, you know, your mind plays tricks on you and you go through your very dark moments where you keep saying, why me?
Yeah.
But why not you? What makes you different?
Yeah.
You know, God gave us clean earth, clean environment. We as human beings have polluted it all. And then when we get sick, we blame the poor devil, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But it's a shame that we don't want to take responsibility for what we're doing to our environment and why this is happening to us, you know.
Yeah. Doctor,
Yes.
what is it about this chemo thing that we have been hearing about that makes it such a horrendous experience?
Well, chemo, I mean, as Julia has rightly said, it's a pretty, it's not nice. Okay. It's not nice because the kind of medication that are giving to try and treat or try and kill the cancer cell is serious stuff. You know, there are things that are toxic in themselves. Yeah, so that's why we as doctors do not just give chemo anyhow. We must make sure that the person actually has cancer. And so cancer is not something that you just touch and say this is cancer. No, they will take a sample, they will send to the lab. Sometimes they will send to different labs, and they'll do different kinds of tests on them, because it's not just about diagnosing cancer. What specific kind of cancer is it? Because in the breast, there's the breast tissue, there are other tissues as well. So the cancer is starting from where? Because all that will determine what kind of chemo you're going to give. And as I said, the chemo drugs are toxic to the cells, the normal cells as well. And so that's why the side effects of chemo are also very, very difficult to deal with. You know, that's why people on chemo tend to lose their hair, the nails, the what's it called? The skin. Basically, chemo targets fast dividing cells, because the cancer cell itself is dividing pretty fast. And so everywhere that there are cells that are dividing fast, the chemo will attack it. And so that's why we have the hair, we have the mucosa. Mucosa is the thing, the cells lining the mouth, the eyes, all those areas. So you have bleeding. One of the side effects is bleeding gums, bleeding in the GITM. I'm using medical terms. Bleeding in the intestine.
Gastrointestinal tract.
You know, and it's very, very. It's not nice. It's not nice at all. And so before you put somebody on chemo, you must be sure that the chemo, first of all, the chemo is the right chemo and it's going to help that person, because you're going to weigh the cost benefit. You know, is the damage going to be worth the help that chemo is going to give that person? And so it is a big deal. It's a big deal.
So let me ask, and I'm asking this from a complete layman's point of view, but if somebody has cancer, why not just cut it out? Why chemo?
So that's actually one of the reasons why early detection is important, because when the cancer starts and you pick it up early, yes, you can actually cut it out. However, the fact that you have cut out the cancer doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to have chemo, because the cancer itself, or the primary cancer, may be a small thing, but it may have spread. You know, so you go in and remove the small cancer, you still have to take the chemo so that any distant spread, if any at all, will be taken care of by the chemo. So yes, you can actually go out and remove the cancer if it's detected early enough. In fact, nowadays, there's actually, we call them breast-saving procedures, where the cancer in the breast can actually be removed, and then the breast is conserved if the cancer is detected early enough. But you still have to go through some form of chemo or radiation to try and prevent any further spread.
I see. So, you know, we have general anesthesia. Okay, and I'm saying this because I'm doing my layman thing, right? We have general anesthesia, and we also have local anesthesia. Why don't we have local chemo? Do you understand? I mean, that's my logic, right? We are giving the person...
That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, you're giving the person chemo, and the person is, the whole body is struggling. Do the thing locally, or...
But that's what you said about the spread.
Yes. So it depends on the stage of the cancer.
Yeah.
So if it's very early and we are sure... But the question is, can you ever be sure that it hasn't spread? Okay. You know, because there can be some micro spread that you may not have picked up. And so let's say and there is local treatment. So radiation tends to be very localized. They target the spot where the cancer is or where the cancer was, and they radiate that area. That's local. Okay. You know. But how do you know that it hasn't gone somewhere else? And so that's what I mean by, even when they go and take out the cancer, they will still give you a certain amount of chemo. It will not be as intensive, and it will not be as long duration as the full chemo treatment, but there will still be chemo even after cancer has been removed completely. Okay.
So Juliette, now you got the news, you started the procedures, you did your chemo. Chemo was horrible. When did you start feeling like you're out of the woods?
I think a good 3-4 months after my chemo, when my hair started to grow back. Okay. Because the interesting thing is, when you lose your hair, it's not just the hair on your head, it's your facial hair, it's hair everywhere. Wow. So your face looks awkward. And the chemo, so like
eyebrows, eyelashes, everything just goes. Wow.
Everything is gone. Wow. So you look kind of interesting looking. Yeah. And again, it's not what happens to you, it's how you get through it. For me, I did the red lipstick, you know, the baseball cap.
You did it
and
all?
I called it a day.
Wow.
Because I needed to show a strong front for my boys. You know, I'm raising men, and I want them to understand that some of the strongest people in their lives will be women, and we fight through everything. So That was important. So I needed to show that strong front. So actually 3 or 4 months after, I started to see my coloration. My nails were very black. I started to see that slowly. And it's actually refreshing. You begin to, it's almost like a rebirth because your hair is growing back.
Yeah.
You're coming into a new you. And there's a different appreciation when you've had fears that have shaken you up, and now you're given a chance to come back out again.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people who are watching at the moment, and I want you to give some encouragement to somebody in the hospital bed. They're struggling where you were maybe 10 years, 12 years ago. What would you say to such a person?
You know, I had a sister-in-law who said to me, human beings will disappoint you. And always make sure that your faith, your direct faith, is strong. So that is in meaning to me that I am God's child. And so I should have, my biggest faith should be there.
Yeah.
The beauty of that is that we should trust in our medical system as well.
Okay.
Because majority of our doctors do want us to be alive.
Yeah.
And the goal is to save our lives.
Yeah.
So we should trust that. Along with going to church, we should make sure that we're grounded in that as well. And listen and pay attention to our bodies. And know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay.
You know, and that self-examination is very important. I found my lump early because of that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk alternative medicine. Did you try anything different
No.
outside of the? You didn't try anything.
No, I didn't
different?
believe in it.
You didn't believe in it.
No.
Okay, but I've heard people suggest, lots of antioxidants, with fruits and juices and so on.
So this is what I did.
Okay, tell us.
I waited to finish my entire treatment process. Once I finished, then I began to make better choices. I was almost 300 pounds.
Wow.
So I began to make better choices because I realized you are what you eat. And paying attention to what you eat and exercising and making better choices is really important. So I think not only for cancer, but for every disease. So to minimize diabetes, to minimize heart condition, to minimize everything, those choices are important. And understanding your body and knowing what you can and cannot do is important. So yes, I'm very conscious of what I do put in my body now.
Okay.
You know, I make jokes that you can wear everything you want designer and you put junk in your body. It should be the other way around.
Yeah.
You should put all of the best things in your body and wear whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that. I like her.
Yeah.
Doctor, the essence of doing the antioxidants and those kinds of things, how important is that in terms of, first of all, the treatment process, okay, and then also just life in general? How important is that for us to take that serious?
Well, I mean, antioxidants, as I mentioned the last time, are very important in a lot of aspects of our health, and it particularly helps boost the immune system. You know, the vitamins, the minerals, they all help in keeping the immune system active and going.
Yeah.
And so it's important that we pay attention to it, not only with respect to cancer, as Julia, it applies in everything. And you see, the interesting thing is that you don't wait, if you are diagnosed with having cancer and you are now starting the whole thing, you might get some benefit, but if you had started much earlier, it would have been much more, it would have helped much better, because like, as I mentioned, cancer, there's an immune component to cancer. You know, and in fact, one of the tests they do on cancer cells, including breast cancer cells, would be to check the immune status, because if they find a particular immune modulator in the cancer cells, it determines what level of treatment you are going to get. You know, so cancer cells respond to hormones, respond to chemo, and respond to now immunotherapy as well. And like I said, the antioxidants are part of the immune boosting system effect on the health of the individual. And so it's very, very important. However, everything in moderation. You know, because there could also be some interference between the antioxidants and the chemo drugs. So you need to be careful that you are not taking antioxidants to the extent that it's affecting the efficacy of your chemotherapy. You know, and so that's why I like what Julia had said, that she waited to finish her treatment, because sometimes interference can be costly. Because the cancer treatment is not cheap.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a terrible combination of drugs to take, and it's also not cheap. So you can imagine being the reason why it doesn't work or it fails. It's not a good place to be. And so, as much as possible, let's follow the protocol.
Yeah.
And the thing about cancer treatment is that the doctor and the patient that come to an agreement as to how it's supposed to be done.
Okay.
So most of the time, the patient herself is aware of the protocol, and they, at least here, they will actually give you a copy. You know, they will explain to you and give you a copy so that you can follow it yourself and know that tomorrow I'm due for this and that and all that. So you have to understand the protocol so that you know the things that you should avoid or, you know, should encourage.
Yeah. So lifestyle diseases, she made mention of the fact that, you know, not just for cancer, but everything else, you know, the choices that we make. How do you see our culture impacting on the choices that we make in terms of, you know, choosing to eat this or drink that or live a certain way? So
this is an interesting question. You see, in the past, cancer was not that common. Of course, some have argued that it's because they were not reporting as often, but it wasn't that common because we were eating a lot less processed food. We're eating a lot more fresh food, a lot more fresh foods and less processed. That simply puts it, less processed food. And so we had a lot more access to a lot of healthy food. We're not using as many chemicals in our food food growth processes and all that. And so people were actually living longer. You know, fast forward to today, we have so many options and a lot of convenience foods. And so we are moving away from the traditional way of doing things into more modern eating habits, and that's actually affecting us. Added to that, we are exercising less. So we are eating, our diet is becoming more and more bad, and our exercise, we are becoming more sedentary. Both of these things contribute to lifestyle diseases. And cancer, increasingly, is also becoming a lifestyle disease because basically it's the choices you have made that will eventually lead to cancer. Even though, yes, we don't know the cause, the specific cause of cancer, we have associations. So we know that somebody who is eating a lot of fatty foods, exercising less, is more likely to actually develop this cancer or that cancer. And that's known. Statistically, we know. You know, and so those eating much healthier diets and also adding exercise to their lifestyle are less likely to develop cancer. And so our culture, because our culture is changing, we are seeing a lot more lifestyle disease today than 50 years ago.
Any final motivational, you know, talk for our viewers?
Well, the wonderful thing is that through my survival, I started an organization called Pink for Africa in educating women, supporting women with financial journey, with breast cancer, those who cannot, and bringing in prosthetics. Johnson & Johnson this year is matching every donation that is coming through to Pink for Africa. So I urge everybody to go to pinkforafrica.org, donate, and Johnson & Johnson is going to match your donation. Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much to you, Juliette, and to you, Dr. Kelvin. So I'll be speaking with Dr. Kelvin Owusu of Optimal Care Diagnostics, and then also Juliette Mills-Lutterodt, who is what was the foundation again? Pink for Africa. Pink for Africa Foundation.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The City Tube,
for exclusive breakfast daily content and other City TV programs.
Like, comment, and share with your friends.